Welcome back to Coffee Spills and Pineapples, where creatives tell their story, their journey, and inspire us, you, the audience. Today, my guest is Suzanne Daghlian, all the way from New York, but now lives and works in Armenia. Hi, Suzanne.
Hi, Rafi.
Thanks for coming and accepting our invitation.
Thank you for inviting me.
It was a pleasure. I mean, I've heard your stories on various occasions. We've been friends and for many years, and we've been, in different situations where we laugh a lot. This is going to be an episode where I think I will be laughing a lot.
I hope
So
so.
yes. So you are from New York,
Jersey.
Jersey.
New Yorkers don't like when
Right,
Jersey.
yeah.
I say we're from New York.
You grew up in an Armenian family.
I did.
Otherwise, Armenian community.
Very American community.
How does that work?
I grew up in a small town just outside of New York City. Very American. Italian Americans, Irish Americans, white bread Americans, Mayflower family.
You were not white for them, or were you?
No,
Were you
I
part of
was.
it? Yeah.
I
Okay.
was. We all were, whatever our ethnicity, but it definitely wasn't an Armenian community. The Armenian community I grew up in was my church,
Uh-huh.
and we were very active in that community, but it was very separate from my everyday school life community.
And then eventually you grew into the publishing
I did.
sphere.
I did. So I studied English education.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
What to do. The big joke is,
When you do
yeah.
English, what to do next?
And I had it in my head that I wanted to be in publishing. Now, I have no idea what that meant to me, but I put my stake in the ground that I'm going to go into publishing. And of course, New York is the center. So when I graduated from university, I went home, looked around for a publishing job. Again, what did that mean? I didn't know.
Uh-huh.
So I talked to law book publishers and magazine publishers and novel publishers, literary publishers. And okay, they were all interesting to me. I just wanted to learn what it meant.
So you didn't have anyone in the family or in your
No.
vicinity that worked in
No,
publishing?
no. Actually, my parents were. My father was a photo engraver, like
Oh.
so many Armenian Americans. My mom was a bookkeeper, but my sisters were teachers. And that's why that's why my university degree is in education. I was, you have to
Yeah, of
train
course.
for a,
Right.
but I had no intention of teaching right away. Of course, I ended up teaching. Right. But so publishing, whoever knew what that meant. So I ended up in textbook publishing, college and university level textbooks.
Can we call it the boring?
Doesn't it sound boring?
Yeah,
It wasn't. It was an amazing 18 years.
18 years.
I found my career there.
Wow.
And my voice and my reputation and my expertise and everything. It was so fun.
So would you be editing these books?
No, I was in marketing. I was in sales and then marketing. So to do anything, you had to go out and sell. So I had to go out on campus. I had to have a territory, go out on campus and sell textbooks to
the professors.
What I had to do to convince them to use my book was I had to know their books, what books they were using. I had to know all the books on the market. So that I could say mine is different in this way. Or if you want to approach your discipline this way, try my book.
Well, the competition, basically. You needed to know what's on the... I
needed to know what's on the market. Mm-hmm. And so that, of course, leads to everything. It leads to developing a textbook. If the market needs it, then that's what you work with professors to authors who are experts to help them develop a book that will fit the market. Right. So the natural step after that for me was marketing. I had no education in marketing. I didn't know what it was, but I understood how these books worked. I loved it. I loved being in sales.
So this is after 18 years or part of the 18 years?
This is the beginning.
Oh, the beginning.
Yeah. So I did sales, then I did marketing. And marketing became like in sales, you have a territory and you call on professors in all disciplines, right? You sell whatever's in your book bag, whatever the company publishes. So I was calling on economics professors, writing instructors, and science and everything. Mm-hmm. But then when you go into marketing, you have a specialty. And that's the opposite of what a salesperson does. Now I'm responsible for that discipline all over the country.
Geographically, it's much bigger.
It's the whole country, but it's the political, for me, it was the political science list.
Oh, I see.
So I represented the list all over the country. So salespeople would call me and say, I have an open adoption. They're looking for a intro to American government book. And so I had to know what they were using, which books they were looking at, and then sell them my book. So I loved it. It was great fun. I traveled all over the country, talking to professors, spending time with salespeople. I traveled everywhere, from New York to California to everything in between.
Did you like the traveling?
I did. It was back in the 80s when it was fun.
The music was amazing.
The music was great,
Of
but it
course.
was fun.
Yeah.
It was easy. Travel was much easier than it is now. And you rack up miles and you travel for free on your free time. It was great. I was even called to Hawaii. I know, we had a salesperson in Hawaii. And when she called to have me come, because she had a lot of political science openings, everybody thought she was kidding. Is it April 1st? She's kidding, right? And the management said, go. There's a lot of business there.
Pack the next day.
Oh, my God. And I was there for like 14 days.
Oh,
I just stayed and stayed and stayed.
Yeah.
A weekend before, a weekend after. It was great.
Great planning.
We had to get up at 5 a.m. and fly to each of the islands. Because there are community colleges and state universities on every island. So we would get up early, fly, get to campus at 8, 9 o'clock. I can still see it and smell it. I was in the anthropology professor's office selling I was also did sociology and anthropology. And I sat down and he was this, long bearded guy and hippie guy. And the view was breathtaking. There was a window and behind him was a hill, and it was just covered with flowering vines and greenery. And
wow.
It was amazing. And I said, oh, this is the prettiest office I've ever seen. And he said, oh, there at the window? Well, God lives there. And I'll never forget it.
That's
an amazing
such a
moment.
Nice rendition of what it is.
Oh, yes, God lives here. Yeah. So, and then there were silly experiences too. I had a very important author in Texas, and he and his wife were originally New Yorkers. They had been living in Texas for many years. And I went to their home for dinner, and I had not met the wife before. And she said, well, how do you like Texas, dear? And I said, oh, it's wonderful. I love the people. They're just so warm and friendly. She took my arm and she said, oh, no, they're not, honey. They don't mean it. I was like, oh, my God. It was such a New York thing to say.
Yeah, but with a different accent.
Yeah, right.
With a different accent.
Right.
So you went from textbooks, but it went somewhere else?
It was changing. The market, the business was changing.
So this was in the 90s now. I mean.
Yes, this is late 90s.
Yeah.
And I was wooed away into children's books. Shiny toy.
A completely different market.
Who wouldn't want to be in children's publishing, Charlotte's Web and Stuart Little and, all of the I know, all the greats. It was HarperCollins. I worked at Harper. They had a college division, and then the college division was sold.
Then you went to the children's in Harper.
At Harper, yeah. So I didn't really change companies. It was very convenient for me. So there was a coffee spill there, in the sense that, we were sold.
So everybody's afraid of what's going to happen.
Well, I did go with the acquiring company, and it was miserable. So very quickly, I was wooed back to Harper and children's books, which was very much part of their company. They were not selling that.
How long did you work with children books? Or
12 years.
12 years there too. So that's a long time in publishing.
Well, 30 years total, but 20 at Harper.
You must have lots of stories. Yeah.
I do.
Well, tell us.
The transition was very, very difficult. If I had known how hard it was going to be, I may not have done it.
It's good you didn't.
I know.
But that's part of the challenge also, is the not knowing, is the learning.
It had nothing in common. The business model was completely different. And I was unprepared for that. And then the other thing was I had worked so hard at my expertise, my reputation, your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Not just comfort, but like I felt I could do anything.
Yeah, you specialized.
I was specialized. And suddenly I know nothing. I know nothing.
Mm.
And no one knows me.
You're the
I'm
new kid
an
on the block.
And not only a newcomer, but I'm an outsider.
Yeah.
What do I know?
Children's.
And the history of Harper Publishing. It's fancy.
Right.
It's so I literally thank God someone gave me a list of what I had to read. And that's all I did for a year was just I read all the classics. I studied business model, again, completely different. Marketing was completely different. Where I was marketing to a closed market. So everyone who teaches political science,
very targeted, we
all know each other and we all know what the books are about. This is the world, right? I mean, and you're marketing to libraries, schools, teachers, but also to parents.
The parents, parents of young children. And I remember towards the end of the 90s, the whole mindset of the wokeness and, trying to find a heroine for my daughter. I don't want, the Cinderella. I want something else. Of color, exactly.
Right. It was very much just the beginning of that. And again, we were a literary house. So it wasn't like we were filling quotas and they weren't learning books. They weren't like, oh, we need a new numbers book or
imagination,
we need to teach about the environment. It was literature. So there wasn't a lot of pressure about filling diversity quotas or making sure that we covered all topics. It was literary. Most of our authors and illustrators were, and still are, published authors and illustrators.
Right.
So very few newcomers were on our list.
So there was a reputation. People knew those names. It would have been an easier sell.
But even that, the marketing model was daunting. It was New York Times book review ads.
So you had to work, besides the sales, you also had to work with other stakeholders, right? Like the publishing team, but also the media.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Publicity was a big part of our marketing plan. We had to work with the booksellers. So, for example, you walk into a Barnes and Noble and there's a display, a cardboard display.
Right.
I would have to have those built. Like I would have to have the budget for it. I would have to have it built. And then the sales reps would place it. And if they got it in Barnes and Noble, woohoo!
Yes, of course.
Right. The business model was completely foreign to me. So I had to learn it from the ground up. It was daunting. It really was. But I somehow within the first 2 years, I felt like I had my footing again, my confidence again, and they started throwing some really big properties at me. I did some wonderful projects. I don't know if you've heard of Lemony Snicket's, a series of unfortunate events. So that was a series of 13 books. And I was there at the beginning. And it was all, opposite. Do not read these books. These books are very sad. These books are very difficult.
That was the marketing approach. So it was like, don't buy this book. But then you don't tell someone don't, because then they will.
But that's exactly what we did. Please turn the page. Yeah. Please put this book down and read something more cheerful. So it wasn't my creative work. It was the author's. I mean, he's just brilliant. His name is not really Lemony Snicket, but whatever. Yeah. So that was a blast. And of course, wildly successful. Reputation, oh my God. We walked around like kings.
Nothing happened that didn't work out. Like, you went to a book reading and nobody showed up.
Sometimes that would happen.
Okay.
But not with Lemony Snicket.
Yeah. And what about the hordes? Did they disrupt your, what you had imagined?
On purpose.
On purpose.
And that was fine. His events were, why are you here? What are you doing here? Like kids would line up to have their book signed and I would stand there with him and pass him the books, etc. But he was hilarious. He'd say, did you drive here? Crazy knuckleheady thing.
Laugh,
they would laugh hysterically. And the mother's standing there and who's this? Your wife? Just silly, crazy fun.
I remember one bookstore chapters in Montreal.
Yes.
They would even have a pianist performing in the space.
Right.
And your music, your coffee, and your books and the sweaters and the souvenirs. So
Calendars.
it became an experience, and we would even meet there
Yes, social.
to hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really
Yeah.
cool experience. If you're enjoying this episode, follow us on Spotify or subscribe to our YouTube channel. During this time, you started working also with other authors. Many.
I would have some
name throwing.
200 books a year. Okay, name throw. I have millions. I worked with Julie Andrews for many years. She and
the Hills Are Alive.
I know. She and her daughter started an imprint. So they would find gems of children's books and publish them under their imprint. They wrote a few together, a series of picture books. Julie wrote a few novels.
Julie, it's like, as if she's your friend.
She became my friend.
Oh, with Julie Andrews.
My friend.
I mean, she's an icon. She's an icon.
She's everything you want her to be.
Oh, really?
She is one of the most
Is she as nice?
She is as nice as you would ever dream possible.
Did she sing to you?
No, not really. Actually,
I imagine her in a musical, all the time.
Imagine. No, in fact, the first time I met her, she's very warm, very easy to talk to. It was she and her daughter and our editor and the publicist. I don't know how it came up, but something about this weekend, what did you do? Or movies or something. So I started talking about a movie that one of my favorite movies. Do you remember the movie Heartburn? It was Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep, and they are newly pregnant, and he is blown away, and he sings to her from Carousel, the song about my boy Bill. And I heard myself like singing this.
You're singing to Julie Andrews?
It was like out of body experience. I'm like, am I singing to Julie
Andrews?
Rodgers and Hammerstein? Am I singing Rodgers and Hammerstein? Julie, like, shut up. Just stop singing.
But you couldn't.
I couldn't. And she was roaring, So she is just the most wonderful. She was always game. We traveled together. We went on tour for every one of her, releases.
On tour with Julie Andrews.
I know.
That must be something.
And it was a crew. It was her makeup, her hair, her publicist, and me.
So a diva?
No, not at all.
No.
Our hostess. She was like leader. And we had a blast. Everywhere we went, people, followed her and look who it is.
I would do that. I mean, Julie Andrews.
Well, and one of the first times we were at a public restaurant.
She's very poppin'.
I know. We were at a public restaurant, not in a private room. Very often they put us in a private room. No, we were out on the floor, and a woman was walking by and sort of staring. She tripped.
Oh.
And Julie didn't laugh. I think the rest of us laughed.
Yeah.
Julie got up and helped her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably on purpose fall in front of Julie.
Well, now you know.
Yeah,
would
yeah,
do it.
yeah.
She was always game for one more glass of wine. Come on, let's go back to the room and have another bottle of wine. Or,
nice.
I don't want to go to bed yet. Or, she was always game.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can imagine, after the book reading or the show or the event.
She'd be tired.
Yeah.
I was. I remember once sitting again after 2 bottles of wine at the restaurant. Come on, let's go back to the hotel. I'd be like, Julie, I have to go to bed. I have to go, or I have to do my laundry.
Oh, wow.
And I'm thinking, who am I to complain?
Yeah, I can't hang with you, Julie. I can't hang with you.
On your own.
Wow, so that must be. I mean, awesome. Have you written anything of these stories down?
No.
Because working in publishing, I would imagine, and having studied in English, you would want to write some things down.
I don't know. I would never thought of myself as a writer. No.
Okay.
No. I do love to write.
I never thought of myself as a podcaster. There you go.
My other funny story was, I met a lot of people in publishing. It was very much like Hollywood. Big contracts, big money, scary agents, big time. But I learned it. We did a book with the First Lady of the United States at the time, Laura Bush.
George Bush's?
Yeah, George W. Bush's wife. And she was just absolutely lovely. It was she and her daughter wrote a picture book together.
Okay,
Jenna.
for children's.
Mm-hmm. So we were invited to the White House, and I kind of didn't want to
Excuse?
go.
Oh, you didn't want to go to the
Well,
White
short,
House.
it
Wow,
wasn't. He
wow.
wasn't my
Yeah, yeah,
favorite,
George, I see.
and I
What is
kind
the
of
White
kicked and
House?
screamed, and then I had to go. And yeah, I have to say, from the minute we got out of that limousine in front of the White House, it was like, whoa, this is very cool. The editor had told me, don't ask for a tour. But they point blank asked, do you want a little bit of a tour? And I was like, yeah,
Yes, of course.
yeah.
Did he pass by in his PJs or something?
I'm getting there.
Oh,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
okay.
This has been on a TV set,
Uh-huh.
this area that, the windows around. It's a very cool building. But anyway,
I recall.
yeah, so we met with her and Jenna, and then we went into the dining room. And we had the galleys, we're pouring over each page. Again, it was a picture book, so the art is important and the placement of the text is important. So we had a number of different versions of it. And this is the editorial part of it. And later on, I'm going to present the marketing plan. So, all right, we're getting through the galleys and the editorial part of the meeting, and the president walks in with the 10-gallon hat. And, it's kind of like, oh, okay.
What do we do? Stand
Yeah,
up,
what
sit
do we
down.
do?
Like, do we acknowledge or ignore?
And we ignore because this is his
house.
home. Yeah. The wife, the daughter talk to him. Oh, hi, Dad. This kind of small talk. And then, what do you got here? And he starts touching the galleys, and everybody's sort of like, okay, don't touch the galleys, Dad.
Yeah.
Honey, Mrs. Bush says, honey, please don't touch the galleys. They're precious. And, oh, well, how's it going? So, okay, then he says, well, I'm going to go for a run, and he takes off. So we all sort of,
Phew.
yeah. So now the meeting's over. I present the marketing plan. Everything's fine. The meeting's over. But the editor is going to sit with Mrs. Bush for a little while. So, do you mind, Suzanne? And I said, no, I don't mind at all. So I sit aside, and he walks back in. This time, sweaty, running shorts.
He went for a run.
He went for a run.
Right.
So he comes right over to me, puts his hand on my shoulder. One of the publishing folks, what's your name? So I tell him my name, and so small talk. And then he says, I love publishing people. What are you reading? I always want to know what you're reading. So I told him what I was reading, and I said, and what are you reading? So I'm reading so-and-so's memoir, some president. And I said, oh, okay, that's cool. And he said, yeah, because I have to start thinking about my memoir. I said, well, that must be kind of daunting, like you decide to run for president, you run for president, you serve as president, and now you got to live through it all again by writing your memoir. And he said, yeah, it is daunting. And I said, well, you need an angle. Like you need to approach it in a certain way with some kind of angle. Okay.
So you were consulting the president.
I was. So we were chit-chatting a little more. And then he says, but I also have to write my State of the Union speech. And his daughter off in the distance says, yeah, right, Dad. And he says, she's right. I have really
people
good people
writing. Yeah.
He said, actually, this job is a lot easier than it looks because I have such good people working for me. And I said, you know what, Mr. President? That could be the angle for your book.
Yeah.
And he said, I could write that. So I said, I could read that. Like a wise guy.
Wow.
I know.
Mr. President.
He's slapping me on the back. He's really charming, like they all said he was.
He was charming as a president. Everybody, regardless of the politics.
I think the quip was he's somebody you'd want to have a beer with. And I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And we just about did. There was nothing else to talk about, so I asked about his dogs. He was famous for his Scottish Terriers. And early on in his presidency, someone in the staff put a camera on Barney, the dog, and they called it Barney Cam. And he ran around the White House, and they put it on their website.
That's so cool.
And I loved watching Barney Cam. There were like 5 or 6 episodes of Barney Cam. So I asked about Barney, and he said, do you want to meet him? I said, I would love to meet him. Oh my God. So he takes me to the Rose Garden, and on the way, he's telling me there's a puppy, Mrs. Beasley. On the way, he says, I'm not proud of this, but Barney is not that friendly. So be careful.
Be careful.
And you want to go in? I said, yeah. So he let me in the kennel, and Barney came right over to me. So again, slap on the back. Oh, Suzanne, you're okay.
Barney
approves.
So.
Yeah.
Barney approved.
So that was Julie, George Bush, Lemony Snicket, many others. I worked with Neil Gaiman, very popular British graphic novelist, and he wrote some books.
I mean, it feels like you've had pineapples over pineapples and sweeter than the one sweeter than the other.
My life
That
kind of
is
has been a
awesome.
pineapple.
I mean, right now we are in Armenia because you've decided to take and move to Armenia
Because of a coffee spill. I lost my job.
after all those
After
pineapples.
all those pineapples and all that fun and all that, what I thought was success. You know, you get to a certain point and the management sort of says, we could pay her staff to do her job.
Yeah,
So
we can pay her
and we
stuff
could pay her
less.
stuff a lot less.
Right.
3 of them is still less than 1 of her.
I see. Okay. But can they hang with the president?
Can they? Probably not.
Yeah.
But maybe. I don't know.
Whatever.
I honestly don't know what happened to them.
Mhm.
I was devastated. You know, I was just coming up on my 20th anniversary at Harper.
Mm.
So I didn't get my whatever it is, a
That
clock
you get
or a
it,
watch
yeah.
or whatever. I was crushed. Like, what did I do
Yeah.
to be thrown out into the cold? I was 52
Wow.
years old. Like, where am I going? Really? I'm going to start all over again? That was a big fat coffee spill all over me with burns. You know, that was awful.
In the coffee spills, there's a few directions you can take. One is just, take it with grace and just close that chapter, or try again and redo, or do something completely different.
Right. So that's what I did. I guess I sat around for about a year and
Mhm.
learned how to knit.
That's not a
Actually,
bad
I took
hobby.
care of my parents' estate. That was needed to be done. I goofed around, and then I had a job interview. This was a moment. Pretty much a marketing position in publishing. It was home-based, which was very rare in those days.
No office.
No office. Company was in Massachusetts. I'm in New Jersey. So I had to go up there, and I didn't know that much about it. So I went and spent 2 days in the offices learning about the job. I knew it wasn't for me. It was kind of like this.
So you don't feel it.
Yeah. It needs to be up and running in a month and the product's not ready.
I see. Okay.
Okay, well, that sounds like a losing venture. I just did not feel good about it. And I had made the commitment on the drive. You know, when you're driving a long distance
You think.
alone. Yeah. And you make deals with yourself. And so the deal I made with myself, I had been watching the Birthright Armenia website for years. And I made a deal with myself that if I didn't take this job, that I was going to go do Birthright. But I was too old for Birthright. So it's actually AVC, Armenia Volunteer Corps. And I said, that's it. These are my 2 options. And there was a lot about the job that was sort of appealing in concept. But when I got there and realized that it was not for me.
Yeah. So AVC it was.
I literally got in the car, closed the door, and you know that silence when you close the door. And it was like, okay, that's the turning point. Like, that's the moment that it changed.
Awesome.
Everything changed.
You would have to be courageous to leave everything like that.
Well, I didn't know I was moving.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't know I was
Yeah,
moving.
okay.
I came to do AVC for 4 months, and I'm going to volunteer. I had no idea
Yeah,
what was
4
going to happen
months.
after that.
Doable.
I fell in love with this place. I mean, I had been visiting Armenia for 8 years, doing volunteer work in the villages, building houses. And so every summer I would come.
Habitat?
It was Habitat, and it turned into the Fuller Center.
Right.
I had been leading teams for 8 years, and I couldn't get enough. But it was 2 weeks of every summer.
Yeah.
So now I have this all the time in the world. I'm going to come for 4 months. I volunteered a little bit with the Fuller Center at the office because I came in fall, winter. October to February was the deal. And so they're not building houses at that time. They're
preparing office
Right.
work.
So I worked in the office, and my other placement was at AUA. So I came to Armenia. I had a blast. I was with all these birthwriters, 25 to 30-year-olds.
Yeah.
Suddenly I was 25 again.
You know, I hang with you and you act 25.
Like I'm 25. I forgot that I wasn't 25. I had a blast. And so I kept staying.
Extending.
And then finally AUA hired me to teach some of these classes I was developing in the extension department, the continuing ed. It wasn't until I was here for 5 years that I realized
that you're actually living. If you're in a place for 5 years, you're living there.
And, I kept going. I had a house in New Jersey. I was renting it out. My family's there. All my things are there. My car. Like, literally, I didn't make the decision until 5 years.
5 years.
And then I went and sold my car and sold my house and shipped my things and bought a house here.
So it gradually started, and but that also takes courage to just leave everything you know and you recognize and you feel comfortable with, to go even for volunteering for 4 months. That requires a little bit of courage. If I were to tell someone, why don't you,
Pack up and
pack up for 4 months and just volunteer? It feels huge for most people, and I'm glad you did that step.
friends said that was so courageous, and friends said you're not coming back.
Oh, they knew before
And I
you
thought,
did.
no, you're crazy. I'm just going for a little while. I don't speak the language. I don't have a job. I don't have a
You
purpose.
don't have a family in Armenia,
Right. I
right?
don't have
Yeah.
anyone. So I thought, you're crazy. Of course I'm coming back.
But it has been how many years?
13.
13 years you
I
are
know.
already living
I
here,
have
and you
friends.
have
I
lots
have
of
what feel like
friends.
family.
Yes.
I have a home. I have a dog. I have a car. I have a job.
And a new career.
And
That's
a new
so
career.
awesome to see someone, you said 52, so in their early 50s, completely shift and change. So that in itself for me is very inspiring, and I'm hoping that the audience listening to this, and they realize, I think today's generations, younger generations, quickly change careers. They feel more comfortable and are more flexible that way.
Yeah.
I think people in, Generation Xers, we saw what our parents did, like work in a place for 45, 50 years,
Right.
retire, and that's all they did. So that was our model.
I'm a boomer though, Rafi.
No.
I'm in my mid 60s.
You're my age. You can't be.
No, I'm
No.
a boomer.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay, but you don't count because
I don't
you're
count. No,
25.
yeah, I'm
'Cause
really.
you're
Yeah,
25.
no, I'm 26.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I'm really happy to hear the stories. I think we did a really good
Span.
tour of your life. Is there a pineapple that you would put on a pedestal and say, this is my pineapple, the pineapple?
The best thing I
The
ever
best thing you've
did,
ever done.
or
The
that
best thing
happened to
you've
me.
ever done that happened to you.
No, I don't like favorites. I love all the pineapples. I love all the ups. I even bless the downs.
Oh, sure, sure.
You know what, Rafi? Some of it was accidental.
But those are beautiful too.
I know.
Yeah.
I think
Unexpected.
I believe. I do. I believe in the best you can be every day. Maybe not every day. You could take a day off and be a, sit on the couch.
Even God took a day off.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think if you're always doing your best, if you care about what you do, like I think I've always cared about what I do. Even this that I'm doing now was accidental, and yet I am passionate about it. And it's, it is students, so it does matter.
I think the students also love you. Has anybody told you how great a storyteller you are?
No.
Like just this 1 hour listening to you nonstop, and I can listen to more, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. And that's a great skill and talent to have, especially if you're teaching.
And I think that's the only thing I've ever known to do. Maybe I could have ended up in a widget making factory, but I bet I would have cared crazy about those
and
widgets.
Made amazing widgets.
I don't know that they would have been amazing, but I would have cared that they were. I would have wanted them to be the best widgets they could be,
Would you go back to live in New Jersey?
Mm-mm.
No.
I don't see myself living there again. Sometimes it's hard to be here. We all know.
Family, friends,
and
things nostalgia.
that don't work the way I want them to work.
Pros and cons.
Pros and cons. I want my sink to be organized this way, and no, you can't have that. Chicarelli, no, you can't have that.
I believe those are little challenges.
Very little.
Because when you're faced with everyday huge challenges, and I'm talking more about the cultural behavior of a whole society. We're seeing now what's going on in the Western world. I mean, not just the US, but also parts of Europe. I mean, when you're talking about taking away the rights of people, the worker, the woman, the pregnant woman, so you're thinking like, well, I prefer my sink not be put in the right way.
Who cares? Right.
As long as, I can live a beautiful life.
And again, voice.
Your voice.
You have a voice. And if you don't have a voice, what's the point? I think everything we do here in Armenia matters. That's how one of the things that I love about being here is everything matters.
I don't know if this is true, throughout the nation, but I think the people that are around us are the people we want to be with, and they are the doers. They are the ones who care about what they're doing.
We attract them; they
attract us,
us.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Suzanne, I want to thank you so much for being with us and talking about your beautiful journey, and so inspiring, and the laughs and the smiles. Thank you so much.
I love you, Rafi. You're wonderful. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I love watching these creative people, including you and Dean and everything that you do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support us, follow us either on Spotify or subscribe on YouTube channel for more episodes from Coffee Spills and Pineapples.